Okay, so thank you all for joining us. The Shelter and Studio Tour started back in May as a way for the community to stay in touch. And it's been really fun to see people's studios and what they're working on. Today, we're with Coleen Curry, a very accomplished contemporary design bookbinder. She's a vice chair on the board at the Center for the Book. She's heavily involved with the American Academy of Bookbinding, past president of the Hand Bookbinders of California. She's done it all. So we're really excited to have her and see her studio. So Coleen, I'm just going to stop talking and let you show these pictures so that we don't lose them like we did before. Sound good?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What do you see? Do you see me or Sarah or the book?
I see all of it.
All of it. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We had a little technical glitch. The presentation I had all of a sudden wouldn't come up. So we're starting it backwards. And I'm going to show, basically in Muir Beach, California. Is a little bit north of San Francisco. And basically if you go over the Golden Gate Bridge and drive about 20 minutes up the highway and then take a left and drive all the way to the coast, that's where my home is located, in a tiny little village of Muir Beach. There's about 100 homes here. And I was very lucky to have a bindery built in the back of our property. It was an old barn that was renovated, and it took us about 10 years to do the thing. And so my studio is housed in the lower level, and I get to have a view of the ocean, which I'll show you after I show you my pictures of these books all the time, which is a huge source of inspiration for me. So I want to thank the Center for the Book for hosting these tours, because it's really, I can't see anybody yet, but I'm really excited to see people. I've been starved for that. So I wanted to show you some book that I worked on during the pandemic. And this is a book called The Sea Fogs. And it's was produced by Newaukum Press in 2016. And I was approached by a collector to rebind this book. So I pulled the binding off and I bound it in calf skin. It was undyed. And I did it in a way that I wanted to create the feeling of a velvety, ethereal, ever-changing ocean of fog flowing over the coastal hills. So the book is written by Mark Twain, and it's when he moved from San Francisco to Sonoma County up in the hills to escape the fog from San Francisco. But he was only then realizing that he got all the coastal fog coming up over the mountains. And so I wanted to create that kind of feeling. And this binding has its undyed calf, and it has about 4 levels of resist paste on it of different colors in there. And it's dyed about 4 times in different shades of blue, some graphite and whatnot. And then along with that, it has silver foil and palladium that has been applied on top and sanded off and then reapplied and sanded and reapplied to have that wispy feeling of a coastal fog. And anybody that lives in the Bay Area totally knows what I mean by that. And this is the inside doublures, and they are the same dye technique, but I didn't put the graphite in. I let it be much more of a brighter blue. And I put it in a box, which is, it's this metallic buckram that I got from Hewitt's in the UK. And it's in a blue and a white metallic buckram. And it has this little drawer that pulls out. And inside that drawer is the original slipcase, plus the original cover. And on top of that, I included the prospectus that the collector had, as well as an additional trifold print, which I put in there, kind of in its little secret drawer. So that's what I did. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is there's also the open set competition, which is put on by the American Academy of Bookbinding. And it opened in February in New York. mid-February with a collection of 100 bindings in the set category and the open category. And it's at the Grolier Club, and it was hugely attended, very successful. Binders from all over the world, collectors, dealers were all there at the opening. And it was open for a month. It was also open during the Antiquarian Book Fair and the Manhattan Fine Press Fair, and it was attended again by bibliophiles, dealers, collectors, people from all over the world saw it. And then the pandemic hit, and it closed. And these books are all still in the Grolier Club in New York, and they were supposed to be here in San Francisco at the American Bookbinders Museum right now on display, but unfortunately they're not. So I wanted to show you the bindings that I had in that exhibition. This one was my entry for the set book, and it's called Happy Abstract, and it's William Blake, and it was letterpress printed by Russell Moret. He's a fine letterpress printer based in New York. And we were invited in this exhibition to interact with the inside of the book. And unfortunately, I can't show you those slides because it's in my presentation and not just in these pictures. But I had a series of monoprints that were in the blue shades that I had done maybe 6 years ago that I didn't know what to do with. And what I did was, the idea of the letter is that Blake is trying to produce he hasn't gotten his commission done for one of his customers. And he's basically sitting in this area of design of happy abstraction. And so I chose those monoprints to put them inside the book in order to, because I didn't know what to do with them. I mean, they were just there, and the tone of blue, it's kind of like the feeling of that 11th hour blues when you don't know what to do, you don't like what you've done. It's a design process that I go through basically every time I make something that I hated at the last minute. So I thought it was an appropriate sort of feeling for this letter. And so I sewed a number of the monoprints inside the book. And on this cover is my monoprint is across the cover here. And it's encased in Mylar. So when you open the book, it pops off the book. And then it gets inserted in through this hole right there, these slots on the side of the text or on the side of the boards onto the inside of the book. And these are layers of, in the center you have shark skin, and then you have some carp and different stamped leathers that I did that are all representative of the textures that are in my monoprints in the book. And there you can see the Mylar slotting through the cover of the book. And again, on this side by the title, it's slotting through. And then when you come to the inside, you see how those are all flaps, and they move. And the Mylar is just secured by being pushed through those slots and then hooked on. And I took a workshop at Paper and Book Intensive last year with Sean Sheehy. He's a fabulous animated, movable book artist. And he kind of helped me conceive of the idea how to slot those pieces in. So thanks, Sean. I don't know if you're on this, but thank you for that. And then this was my entry in the set category. And excuse my French, but it's Ce qui aurait pu demeurer silence. And it was written by, it's poetry by Rachida Mandani, and illustrations by Annick Boutre. And it's basically, in English, it's the title is What Could Have Remained Silent. And it's a book on words about scrutinizing the pages. And Mandani's poetry explores what happens between the will to write, the gesture of writing, between the pens and the page, and between the impatience and the demand of silence. So it's basically about trying to figure out, allowing the words to come through the silence to create your poetry. And so I did this binding again Hewitt's undyed calf skin. And it has multiple layers of image transfers from the gravures that are inside the book. And there's probably about 4 layers of dyeing in different shades of orange and brown and bronzes. And I also did image transfer of some of the writing inside the book. The book is handwritten with the images. And so these are some of the words that you can't see, but they're there. And it has 3 kinds of gold that are that were placed on the cover, tooled on, gold leaf, gold foil, sanded and burnished. And I also enhanced it and debossed it with different natural materials. So this is just a different angle so you can see the shades of gold. And on the inside doubloons, it basically has it where the gold has disappeared because the poetry has all of a sudden, the words have come to you. You, as a poet, you know what those words are. And here's the title. This is actually gold, although it looks like it's silver. And this was the first time I'd ever done this technique where I used the Kensal. John DeMerit, if you're on this, you'll like that. But this is the title that I hand wrote and had a plate made for and stamped it on the Kensal at the Center for the Book. So this was the last part that I did on this. And so you can imagine the anxiety that existed, because once it goes in the Kensal and you do that stamp, it's there, you can't change it. So that's, I think that's my last slide. So Sarah, do I just come over onto so everybody can see me?
Sure. We did have one question about the Twain book.
Yes.
Karen wanted to know if the covers are leather on both inside and the outside. Specifically, is there a seam between the inside and outside of the cover?
So it's a full leather binding done in a French style, and then the inside is also the same leather, an edge-to-edge leather de velours. That the joint or the seam between the two is on the edge of the board, and so it's very it's seamless. You can't see the edge if you do it right.
I think she was talking about the sea fogs.
The sea fogs is the same thing. So it's both are leather that I dyed. So here's the cover that you can see. And then this is also dyed, and they meet right on the edge of that cover. I mean, you're not going to be able to see it because I don't have a picture of that edge. So you'll see some gold right at the edge, and then you're not going to see any gold, but they're basically the same. When I made all of that, I did them all together.
And the first book as well?
First book as well, yeah, all of them.
Great, thanks. That's it for questions for now, so yeah.
Okay.
Let's see your
So
spot.
I'm gonna stop the share, and there I am. So I told you that I'm in the basement of my studio here in Muir Beach. And I also wanted to show you, before I do a little quick tour of the studio, and then take you outside to see what I see every day. This is something else I did during the pandemic. I took a workshop with Sean Sheehy, and we made this tiny miniature book, and with these tiny little movable things in them. So this was a great diversion for me, where I didn't have to think about doing all that fine binding and leather work, which I was having a real tough time doing at the beginning of the pandemic. I couldn't focus on anything creative. I kept making mistakes. And this is a scallop. And then here's a flower. So I think Sean's teaching more classes at the center if you want to do that.
Yes, indeed. We have a couple going in the works right now.
Oh, great. Excellent. Super. So I'm going to come and move this here and give you a little tour of my studio. I got to switch my view. Okay. So here I am. Tell me if I'm moving too fast. I have about 400 square feet here. This is my wet area of the studio right here. I have a lot of different things up there, different finishes, matte mediums and things like that, adhesive spray bottles, ready mixed glue, brushes and rollers, all hanging up in the sink and down there. And there's my work sink and more adhesives and alcohol and stuff, like not drinking alcohol, but all of that. I have a lot of the things in my workshop on rollers because I like to move around and be creative and have free space. So oftentimes people come in and they've been in my studio, but they will see it's a rearrangement going on here. So this one has a lot of sewing stuff, embroidery thread when I'm doing headbands and end bands and things like that, different tooling. And then if I come over here, I'm gonna back up. So this is my job backer. And I keep it covered with a tabletop so that I can keep my benches free to work on. And these are some commissions that I have going on right now. I can't show them exactly to you because the people that own them haven't seen them yet. And I want it to be a surprise. And over here is my giant laying press on a tub with a plow. Normally I have this covered, but I brought it out because it's incredibly beautiful woodworking by Frank Wiesner. He's an Australian woodworker, and he turns it, and they're just beautiful tools to use. And down there is my vertical plow, which I can also plow books with. I often use this instead of using the plow up here, because I can get a landscape book in there and it doesn't torque when I cut it. Then if I come up here, I've got my shelves, and there's my Dremel, my palm sander, I've got my Sharfix, a bunch of foil, and in the corner in that little box up there is a miniature table saw. And over here at the top are a variety of containers that contain things like exotic leathers, fun stuff that I've created with leather scraps, sanding stuff, all of that. And I walk over here. There's a gigantic wasp nest, which I like to make paper with. I got that from David Pasco from Milwaukee Press. And I scored this little wine box here. It's really sturdy, and it's perfect to stick all these little rolls of top paired, back paired, shredded garment leathers that I use in a lot of my leather decorations. There's my hanging up stuff, my clogs I usually have on. And then in here, these are all my my composteurs and type and tools, my fillets that I use to tool the books with. And down here is more type that I got from Martha Little a number of years ago. And I wanted to show you this over here. This is my, my husband Paul makes a lot of the equipment or tables and benches in here for me. And he made this. This is a light box, and it's on wheels because I can move it around. And I normally have it covered, but when I'm in design mode, it's off. And if I come over, the entire table is a light box. And it's great because I can work on this surface to transfer designs and do all kinds of things on a really large surface. And it's basically a 1/4-inch piece of diffused plastic from Tap Plastics that's set into the bench with LED light strips underneath. So if anyone wants more information on that, I'm happy to share that. Then we come over here. That's the entrance. There's my board cutter and my standing press.
Colleen, what's the Godzilla print there on the wall?
It's not Godzilla, it's Gamera. So it's
cute.
Gamera destroying the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's done by Eric Rowitzer at Roadworks that the Center for the Book does. Maybe It's a steamroller print. Maybe 5 years ago, I got it. It's such a cool, I love that. It's just a cool one. So there's my standing press. Love to get a percussion press. I have 3 shelves here that contain a lot of things that I'm about to work on or have worked on, other things I've collected from other binders and printers. There's another Wiesner. It's a little hand press, finishing press. Then I come over here. I've got a couple of nipping presses. My newly acquired Kensal K36 that I've just stripped down from. It had all the original compressor parts on it, so you could stamp 10,000 things at once, which I never do. So it's there. And then my flat files are here. And those are some oak flat files that I have that has a lot of paper and other stuff in it. And then I scored these flat files on Craigslist. A lot of architects are getting rid of their flat files as everything moves online. And I just sanded them and spray painted them bronze. And they spruced up. They were 150 bucks. It's pretty good. And you can imagine a beautiful book there. And then I had Paul make these tubes up here to store my cloth and leather rolls. And it's basically 12-foot long sections of drain pipe in 6-inch diameter that we cut to size. And then he built this sort of little cage out of conduit pipe and put the elbow joints on it so that it holds everything. And we also sanded this area here really soft so you don't cut yourself when you go in and, you know, pull things out.
Hey, Colleen?
Yes.
How deep is it?
Front
to
it's
back.
as deep as my bottom flat files. So,
Okay.
what is that? Probably
24 or something. Yeah.
Whatever, 48 inches, something like that, 4 feet. I don't know. Yeah, but you can cut them to any size you want to fit your.
Yeah, I know.
rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then here's my main bench right there with the lights. And again, it's on wheels. It's my pairing section. And yeah. And then we can go outside.
John Merritt wants to know where the beer tap is.
Well, we're going to go outside and take a look over here. So I'm going outside now. And this is my view. Here's my deck. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by national and state parks. That's my house down there and the pathway up. And all the way over there is San Francisco. And we kind of face southwest. So I'm showing you this. And now we're going to go around the back. That's my sanding table. I do all my sanding outside. And I'm very lucky to have, this is my husband, Paul, and he's brewing some beer right now. We have a beach bindery. He's doing a batch of fresh squeezed. And this is his little setup. And what are you doing, Paul?
Oh, we're brewing a batch of fresh squeeze, which is, it's a fantastic ale. So this is a system I built, I think, about 10 years ago. And so it's electric, it's all electric powered since we have solar in the house. And so you want to take a look at it? Because right now we're mashing it. And we're doing the mash, you can see. So basically it's where we add certain temperature, hot water, and it breaks down, you know, the grains, you know, enzymes in the grain, and produces sort of like a wort. And then what we do is we drain that off, and then we boil it. And we add hops. And then after that, we cool it down and add yeast and let it ferment.
For how long?
Usually ferments from the time we started this to the time we can drink it is 2 months. But it typically takes about a month to ferment. So it's a fun project.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
So, John, to answer your question, that beer is going to be ready in 2 months, and maybe if we don't have to socially distance after that, you can come by and drink it. So now I'm coming back into the bindery, and I'm going to switch it back to me in a sec. So there's my view from inside, and yeah, so that's the little tour. And any questions?
Was Paul did he just happen to be there, or was he?
He wanted to brew some beer this week, and I said, oh, well, why don't you do it on Thursday when I'm doing my tour? Because I mean, it's part of my bindery. It's our, it's right outside.
I thought the beer tap was a joke, I admit. Yeah, there's not really any questions in the chat. So if anyone has any last minute things, feel free to send it along. Oh, Robin wants to know what the name of the beer Paul is brewing is.
It's called Fresh Squeezed.
Fresh Squeezed.
Yeah, it's a fresh squeeze because you get the fruit of the hop to come out in the beer. So it's a really nice one.
And Vicky Canberra wants to know what else you keep under your table besides sanding blocks. What else do you keep handy down there?
So I have most of my hand tools on top of the things I use often. I keep on top of my bench. And then underneath, like where I am right now at the end of the table, is all my pairing stuff. So I don't have it out all the time. I just bring it out when I need to. Mm-hmm. Cutting mats, sanding blocks, blade things, tools I don't use as much. Mm-hmm. And a couple of finishing presses. I also use a lot of, I get parchment paper from Uline, and just like in these huge sheets, like that. Mm-hmm. And I have a whole box. I think there's 1,000 sheets in there, because when I glue up, that's what I use instead of paper, so that things don't slip on it. So that's handy. Weights.
Emily Buskirk wants to know if you've ever used organic materials from the sea in any of your bindings.
Emily, hi Emily. Emily's my swim buddy. I've pulled out seaweed and different things and dried it, but I haven't actually put it onto a book yet because I'm not sure about the stability of it. Like, I don't know if I'd have to. I've used it to emboss or deboss into the leather, but I don't know if it would attract insects or rot, or I just don't know what it would do. Yeah.
Someone has a question about making wasp paper. Do you tear up the nest and mix it with cotton?
I collage it. So I'm wondering if I have a little piece of it somewhere. I put it on a binding I did a few years ago for a collector on this really huge book. And I used it on that. But it makes, the wasp nest is wood, and the wasps, eat that stuff, and then they regurgitate it into strips and lay it to make their nest. Mm-hmm. So it's paper, right? And it's just, I use paste. Sometimes I've used it with like a PVA mix to try to lay it down. It's kind of messy because when it gets wet, it gets all gooey.
Yeah. Chip wants to know if you limit the size of your bindings to the press you have, or do you do larger books?
The largest book I worked on, it was, I can't even remember now. It was called Enchiri Saint Nature. It was a Nowakam Press book. I don't know if David's on this. If he is, maybe he could give the dimensions of that. It was huge. I had to borrow some boards in order to edge gild it from Eleanor Ramsey, because she has like everything. And I had to create very large press boards to do that, to put it in, but I could get that book into my standing press sideways to put it in there.
Great. Well, we're sort of running over, so.
That's okay. There was one thing that I wanted to say that I forgot to say, in the whole technical thing was, that open set exhibition, which was to be at the American Bookbinders Museum now, is actually online. And Sarah, I sent you those links. You can go online at the American Academy of Bookbinding and look at it and see the catalog of all these they're amazing bindings, 100 bindings on there. And there's also another link where you can actually look at how a lot of the artists interacted with the text on the inside. So it's pretty fabulous. Lang Ingalls had done a fantastic job putting it all together, and it's so unfortunate that the show is not traveling because of the pandemic.
Yeah, so in a few minutes here, you all will receive a feedback survey for the tour today, and Colleen's links are included at the bottom of that, so for the open set and for a few other things. So don't just delete it out of hand. There's actually stuff in there this time.
Okay, well, you know, I'm just kind of scrolling through who's all here, and it's just so fantastic to see so many faces that I haven't seen in so long. I miss everybody. It's emotional.
Yeah. It's a really nice list of people. Thank you so much, Coleen, and thank you, everyone.
Okay. Missed you all. Thank you.
Next week we'll be with Mary Rosala Laird, letterpress printer, longtime Center for the Book instructor. I'm sure most of you
Judy.
know her. So we hope to see you again. Nice job, Coleen. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Center for the Book.
See you next week.